Alright, I am opening up the PowerPoint now. Okay, it's downloading, so I'll open it in a second. Alright, ethical unfolding. Basically, the goal is to express anything and everything that's going through your mind while reading scenario segments. Thoughts might range from thoughts or questions about the audience, context, your own abilities. Should take you a maximum of 30 minutes. Set a timer. 1 second. Timer. 30 minutes. Starting now. Completed my BA in ASL English interpreting last year. You were able to do small amounts of interpreting work as a substitute in educational settings, K-12, post-secondary as team assessments, assignments with your former internship mentor. Began working at a local university, doing 2 ongoing undergraduate courses this term that meet once per week for 3 hours each session. Approximately 1 week before classes begin, you receive detailed information about the courses, instruction, instructors, deaf students, and team interpreters with whom you'll be working. That's good. Okay. It is the same deaf student for both classes. You know this deaf person from their involvement in various interpreting program activities. The other interpreter you have not met before. So, one I'm familiar with, I know their style, I can probably assume that we've worked well in the past because we're still working together. What are you thinking about as you consider preparing for your work at this university? Well, I'm thinking about who the other interpreter is for sure. I'm thinking about what their style is, what their strengths and weaknesses are. Maybe I should meet them, introduce myself. What actions might you take prior to the first meeting of these courses? Well, definitely preparing for each classes. Talking to the other interpreters about what our plan might be, because it is a 3-hour session. One person can't do it alone. What might you plan on doing the first sessions? I'm gonna go back and read this again. Same deaf student. I can probably assume that I know their style or know their style of learning if I've been working with them for a handful of times. Different team interpreter for each course. So one class I will have somebody that I've been working with or somebody that I know a little bit better. It might be a little bit smoother, but I should still talk to them and see what their strengths and weaknesses are with that specific course or that specific subject. The other interpreter I have not met before. Yeah, I'm gonna go with introducing myself to the other interpreter, maybe seeing what they've done to prepare, seeing how we're potentially going to take turns on each class specifically. Yeah. Last night you had a successful and supportive experience working with the interpreter whom you already knew in the psychology class. Teaming went smoothly and the deaf student seemed satisfied with the work and the fact that you would be one of the interpreters for the term. Well, that's good. I would still consider getting some feedback, seeing if things made sense, if, that style of interpreting that we did, if it worked for them, if it worked for, my other teammate. Yeah, I think feedback is important even if it seems to go well, or even if there is a good experience, because there's always room for improvement. Tonight you are interpreting for the other class, sociology. Prior to arriving tonight, you found out some basic background information about the team interpreter, Lisa. Working with tonight. 20 plus years, has deaf parents, never went through formal training, works full-time in another job that's unrelated to interpreting, works part-time at the university, interpreting 1 evening course per term. What are you thinking? What will I say to Lisa? I will be impressed and probably a little bit nervous because of her 20 plus years and my only year or so of mentoring and interpreting, by myself, essentially. I would ask her questions about how long she'd been interpreting for, maybe what her experience was growing up, if her native language is ASL, which deaf parents, it probably is, but you never know. I mean, there could be deaf oral parents, there could be parents that they didn't want or think that she should learn ASL, so I think that would be an important question to ask. Part-time at the university, interpreting 1 evening course per term. So if she doesn't do it that often, does she practice often? Did she have the same amount of time to prepare as I did? Does she know anything about sociology? My schema's not that great on it, so I would definitely need time to prepare. But yeah, and then it also says she went through formal training, or she never went through formal training. Is she certified? Did she pass some kind of standard test or something like that says that she's good enough, I guess? Or is she just kind of grandfathered in because she has deaf parents and stuff like that? Okay. Your first opportunity to meet her and talk with her was about 10 minutes before the course you were both interpreting began. You both introduced yourselves and she began telling you about how exhausted she was from a long day. And all the way here, all she could think about was how she wished she could just go home. I would maybe ask why she's exhausted, or if she wanted me to start off the course. I would probably ask if there's anything I could do, if I could, get her something to eat or something to drink that could get her a little bit more energy to make it through the 3-hour-long class, because that's a lot of mental energy, and her channel will be full of being tired and only wanting to go home versus focusing on the class and the information itself. I wouldn't tell her to go home, I don't think, unless she really looked like she was tired or she really just was adamant about only wanting to go home. Then, I would ask if she was able to continue doing the class, or if there was somebody else that could come in, but even then they wouldn't have had enough time to prepare or practice. It would be 10 minutes before the class began, so I would essentially be on my own if somebody else were to be called in and she were to leave. Yeah. You decided to try and steer the conversation politely to discussing strategies for teaming that you could get a feel for how she works with a co-interpreter, and so you could share your preferences and needs. Every time you attempted to bring up the issue of teaming, she simply said, "I'm flexible, don't worry about me." Most you managed to discuss and agree on was switching every 20 minutes, and that she would begin. Okay. I would probably... if any questions or any kind of direction I tried to steer the conversation was ending up with her telling me to not worry about her, that she's flexible, then I would probably just end up explaining to her what my weaknesses are, or what, I'm comfortable with or not comfortable with, and, you know, get some kind of feedback on that of like, oh, well, you know, I can do every 20 minutes, but when it comes to this subject that we're going to cross, then, you know, I'm uncomfortable with this, or I don't think I would do quite as well of a job at, and then see what her thoughts on it would be. Hopefully she would give me a little bit more feedback versus, I'm flexible, it's gonna be okay. Which, I mean, it might be, but it's still good to ask. What are you thinking? What actions might you take during the break or after class? Yeah, I would, if she's not giving me any kind of specific answers as to what works or doesn't work for her, then I would probably just end up explaining some of the things that I'm comfortable and not comfortable with. You know, personally right now, my schema on sociology and stuff like that, it's not that great. So I would probably ask her some kind of questions that were, you know, on that list of stuff that we had to prepare for. Yeah, I would ask her some sociology questions, or, you know, again, see how she's doing during the break. Take care of myself, of course. Maybe go get a drink, go to the bathroom, maybe snack on some food, depending on how long of a break it would be. After class, definitely, I think I would like to have a conversation more, depending on if it went well or not well. And yeah, okay. It is now the second week of classes in the second session of sociology class. Since you didn't have time prior to the first class to discuss some of your needs and teaming preferences with Lisa, you made a point to share some things with her after class last week. Seemed open and said she was not used to teaming in the way you were proposing, but she would give it a shot. What way of teaming is she used to then? Is that something that I would be able to do? I mean, I think it would be important if she at least tried, or we at least tried, and obviously if that doesn't work out, then we would have to have a quick little discussion about what we can do in those few moments to kind of adjust and make it work to you know, get all of the information that we're receiving and being able to put it out in a consistent way. Not just, well, this interpreter is doing it this way, and then when, you know, the other interpreter comes in, they just switch it. So it's kind of awkward. So I'm about to determine that Lisa will begin. After you switch, she stays in the room and appears to be attentive. She is able to provide you support when you ask for feeds. That's good. All in all, teaming is going much better than it did last week. During the first break, after 1 hour, Lisa said she needs to leave for 40 minutes early tonight. Leave 40 minutes early? Can I do another 40 minutes by myself? Is that a thing I can do? She suggests that she can interpret longer than 20 minutes right before she has to leave, and that way you would just have the 40 remaining minutes to interpret and be rested since you had a longer break. Does that mean that I will be rested, though? I mean, how much information is being said in the last 40 minutes? What if it's a lot? What if, you know, just, I mean, she has 20 plus years and I only have like 1 or 2? What if I can't do that? And why wouldn't she tell me before? I mean, if it was an emergency, you can't really do anything about that, I suppose, but, I would ask if it was an emergency. I would double check to see what all information was being given to the students or whatever at the last 40 minutes. I mean, I'm not gonna tell her that she can't necessarily go. I don't know if that's in my right to tell her that, but I would definitely let her know that I don't know if I'd be comfortable enough doing that. I don't know if I have the skill to do that, and I would ask if it was an emergency, and if not, if she could maybe stay a little bit longer. I mean, I would say call in another interpreter, but again, I mean, they wouldn't have that time to prepare. You know, maybe it would be fine, but at the same time, how long would it take to have that other interpreter show up, and just for the last 20, 40 minutes or something like that? Yeah, I think I would just let her know that, you know, I'd still be a little uncomfortable with trying to do that on my own. Now, 6th week of classes, you've gained some confidence and comfort. Team has continued to be great in the psychology class and has continued to be okay with Lisa in the sociology class. The only thing that's uncomfortable now is that Lisa has left 40 minutes early twice. No. So she needs to leave early. Lets you know she has another interpreting job. She must leave early from the university in order to arrive. Why would she accept a job if she's having to cut the other job short? What am I thinking? How will you respond to Lisa? Actions will I take and why? I would, internally, I would have some intrapersonal problems with that. No, interpersonal problems with that? Both. Because why is she leaving early? Why would she accept a job somewhere else if she was still going to be at this other job at that point in time? I don't think that's very fair. I don't know if that's professional or not, because what is the student thinking? You know, if this other interpreter is leaving early, you know, not half the time, but at least 2 or 3 times so far, I mean, I feel like that's not fair to myself or the student, and maybe she's just taking advantage of this whole situation. I mean, I guess it's cool that she let me know that she has an interpreting job for this last one, but if the other two she didn't let me know, or it wasn't an emergency, or she didn't, you know, even ask me if I'd be comfortable with that, or if she, you know, she could do anything to make it easier on me, or like, yeah, if I didn't have much of a choice on her leaving, then, I mean, I would try and do the best that I can, but I would definitely be getting a hold of her after. I would be letting her know that, you know, maybe that it's not the most professional thing, or if she knows that she has another job, that maybe she shouldn't accept one so close to a time that she knows she can't make it if she were to leave on time at the previous job to make it on time to the next job. If there was a break, I'd talk to her, but obviously if I didn't have any other choice, I would definitely get a hold of her afterwards and let her know that I don't feel comfortable with that, and, you know, it's not fair to myself as her team member for her to just leave whenever she wants. I don't think that's professional. Thank you. You're welcome. I will upload it to YouTube. Happy holidays.